Welcome to DorkDate podcast.
I love how "Are you ready?" is answered by you starting the recording and doing the intro. Yeah, so we're doing a podcast.
Today we're gonna be talking about Good Game.
Good Game, the YouTube Red Show by the Game Grumps.
Yeah.
And starring
Stop
the Game
messing
Grumps.
with my paper.
Well, okay.
It's gonna be crunchy.
It's fine.
All I'm telling you is I edited several videos where I told you, hey, you eating is gonna pick up. You opening that wrapper is gonna pick up, and it's just like over everything.
It's the realism. You know who does that kind of stuff? Radiolab.
They don't eat
Radiolab
while they're
is
doing
an
a
award-winning podcast.
Anyway,
WNYC.
Today we're gonna be talking about the YouTube Red Show Good Game.
Yeah.
As we already said.
So,
first, let's just go over.
Ignore that. That was our computer talking at us.
Professionalism.
It's all muted now, so it should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just go over the characters and what they're about.
Let's go over the fact that this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast. We have no...
Well, let's clarify. We're not going to go out of our way to tell you, like, the end and, like, everything else. But we
may even go out of our way to try to avoid that. But
if it comes up, like, just so you know, we're not going to be overly careful about saying... You know,
like, this is a spoiler, please don't listen or whatever.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, you should probably have seen the show
probably
before you watch this.
It.
But,
if you want to know our final thoughts on it, you can just skip to the end and then go back and listen to what we actually thought about it. Because at the end, we'll go over whether or not we recommend you to watch it.
Definitely.
Kind of a backward system.
Yeah.
Maybe we should move that to the beginning.
You could honestly, we could look at the time we have them, put an annotation so they can click and skip there.
Shit.
Probably not doing that. Anyway, so yeah. Characters you want to talk about, right?
Yes.
So we got our main boy, our main baby boy, Ryland Smith, played by Aaron Hansen. And his buddy old pal,
Game Grumps.
Alex Taylor, played by Daniel Avadaniels.
No.
Danny Avadani. Avadani. That was totally intentional.
Oops.
So anyway, they basically play stereotypical 30-something stoner dudes who live in... Are they 30-somethings? That's the impression I got.
Yeah.
Okay. Who live by themselves in a shitty apartment.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Whatever. Millennial schlub dudes.
In the show, not their actual ages.
And at first they kind of have like a sort of, whatever, boring friendship. I mean, it's fine. It's not boring. They're just like,
normal.
Whatever.
But they don't have like jobs, right?
Yeah, they're basically way behind in rent.
The birth of the idea of the show is that they don't have jobs and one of them likes to play video games a lot. So
they decide to enter this tournament for a video game called Killcore. And Killcore is like League of Legends or Dota.
Yeah.
It's a fictional version of that. MOBA.
I'm always trying to say MMO because they have
multiplayer,
the same
online, battle
letters,
arena.
But that's not right.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So anyway, let's talk about the characters a bit. Danny Avadani, or Alex Taylor, is the most joyous, optimistic person ever. I really enjoyed his character. He was
kind of dumb.
Pretty dumb. But, like, not only dumb about, like, video game stuff, He
No, I wouldn't say that.
He wasn't, like, particularly stupid in anything else. Either way, pretty dumb. His character is kind of stupid.
He doesn't come off as, like, unintelligent. He comes off as, like, a little bit ditzy.
Yeah, definitely. Airhead.
Not unintelligent.
Yeah. And, but he's a happy guy. He's a positive dude. Yeah. And he eventually...
Ditzy, like, happy-go-lucky, like, stupid in a happy, fun way.
Sure. And he's sort of the instigator for this whole show because he's like, "Yo, let's do this Killcore thing and build a team." And then, so real quick, fast forward or rewind, whatever. Ryland, Aaron's character, is.
Well, the whole reason I wanted to do the let's talk about characters is so that we didn't have to say this person's playing them. Or Aaron's character who plays.
You know what? That's a good point. So
just go with their character name.
Sure. So a different character is we can say who they're played by. The first one.
Yeah.
Ash Donovan. She's played by Michelle Morrow, who I had no idea who this was until the show started. Honestly, I only knew 2 people from the show. I think you knew a couple more.
I recognized Lorenzo's character. Where is he? Oh, Michael Ornstein. I don't know from what. I just recognized his face.
Maybe he has a kind of familiar face. Anyway.
And Jesse Cox. I know.
So Ash is basically like a classic announcer for MOBA style things that she's announcing for Killcore, and apparently she used to play, but she doesn't anymore, and then she gets fired. It's a long story. I don't even really remember why she gets fired or how she gets fired.
Doesn't she like... Well, maybe this is a good opportunity to not spoil the show. Yeah,
that's right. It's not that we don't remember. It's that we're not choosing not to tell you.
I have some ideas, but I I don't remember fully enough. I think she ends up like helping them out, and that's why she gets fired.
Yeah. So basically, she ends up joining their kill core team. Because the kill core team has 6 players.
And then she gets fired. So then she's like, "Well, shit! Like I already helped you once. Might as well stick in this.
Might as well join the team." Next is Sam Kinsey. She's played by Jade Payton.
Jade Payton.
If you guys are wondering, we memorized all these things. We're clearly not reading them off of IMDb.
Yeah.
She is like a
training Olympian.
But she's been
for
injured
tennis.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a tennis player.
She's been injured. So the whole thing is that they originally episode 1 is them finding this team who we're introducing to you now.
All it was in the episode for section? Okay.
And Sam's character, basically they go online and they get information and collected data of the best players in their area, and so they end up tracking them down that way.
Sure.
So they find her, and then they find out that the reason why she got so good is because she just channeled all of her Olympian energy into kill core.
Her thing is basically she practices like crazy. She obsesses, so she can essentially get really good at whatever she puts throws herself into, and if it's competitive, especially, that was one of the things too. So next is Kamal Pasala. Played by Rahul Aburi.
Okay.
Sorry.
Rahul.
Basically. Anyway,
Maybe that's
he's one of the first guys they meet, and he is a Killcore player as well. Very good. He's also a huge asshole.
Yes, he's the classic troll, terrible kid person.
Yeah, so much so that he's hacks people's accounts and basically.
What's the thing that they
had a term for
with the swatting or something, but what's it called?
I don't remember.
Is it called swatting?
Maybe that's what they're calling it, but I don't think
that's where basically where you call the authorities on someone else and get them busted in a stream.
Yeah. I don't know if that's
which is a thing. No, it's a thing.
It is a thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's very illegal.
Yeah, I imagine.
And I don't think he actually did it or something, but I don't know. That's the thing that he would do, and furthermore, just being racist and sexist and
he's just horrible.
Ableist,
so this show, which kind of has
any ist you can think of.
This show is basically Dodgeball, right? In plot. And it's presented, in my opinion, at first as a not very crass show. I guess I'm trying to look at the rating right here. Do you see a rating jumping out at you?
Yeah, 6.9 out of 10.
No. I mean a rating based on
a TV rating.
Yeah.
Like ESRB.
Sure, basically.
Which is video games, though, right?
Yeah, either way, it's pretty vulgar. I mean, they say some fucked up shit in this.
Is that video
Kamal,
games?
Yeah, ESRB
is
video games. Yeah. Kamal is a perfect example of that. He's just a violent, horrible human being in a lot of ways. So.
I don't think they do ratings for internet shows.
But I think they have recommended ratings, don't they?
Oh, maybe.
This is intended for mature audiences.
Maybe. I didn't see that, but I also don't really pay attention to it.
Yeah. So, anyway. Next is our boy Lorenzo Santella, even though it's probably Centella Jr.
Which is Michael Ornstein.
Yeah.
Or Ornstein.
Ornstein.
I would say Ornstein.
The Bernstein
it
Bears.
Might be Ornstein.
Get some Game of Thrones references. Anyway, he plays their kind of dorky older landlord.
Yeah, and he's the reason that they get this team funded.
Yeah.
Basically, they need someone else, but there's no one else who's the good or the next person isn't available or doesn't want to. And he walks in, and they're like, "Hey, do you play video games?" And he was like, "I'm a pro Gauntlet player or whatever." Even though
you find out later that he actually sucks at Gauntlet, which is very sad. I think even Grumps had him on for an episode where they played Gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't think I watched all of it yet, but
either way,
because they do very long episodes.
Basically,
with
Alex, played by Dan. I know we shouldn't say that every time, but I feel like that nobody knows the characters well enough. But Alex's character, who becomes a team coach, convinces his landlord to basically fund everything, and so he buys them all brand new gaming computers.
Because they have a lot of the same character, in a way. They're both very happy, very socially ditzy kind of people.
Yeah.
And just wanting to be included.
Too sweet for this world.
Both of them are very the same in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's kind of funny, almost ironic, I guess, that Alex is the one convincing Lorenzo, both dumb characters, that hey, you need to fund this, and we're not going to pay you rent, but it's okay because we'll win money doing this.
You're going to get paid back the $1 million we're going to win.
Yeah.
Which is a huge long shot. So anyway, real quick, I want to just go through the character personalities again because I don't think we did that super well. Alex, super positive. We already did that. Great job. Ryland, Aaron's character,
Schlubby.
he's basically the most depressed downer person ever. Like, he's just such like a bum guy.
Well, he's not the most depressed, but he's very
pretty depressed.
He's like
Jesse Cox is one level lower than him on depression scale.
I wouldn't say that. He's pretty pessimistic.
Pretty unenthusiastic.
And very like haunted by his past.
Yeah. So one of the major plot points you find out, I think in episode 2, when they have their first game.
There's only 6 episodes total, guys, and they're all half an hour.
So before Ash gets in, doesn't Alex play for them instead? Because they don't have a full team yet at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so they in the episode 2 or 1, I'm trying to remember, they have their first Killcore game for like a charity event, and they do terrible. I'm pretty sure. And I forgot where I was going with it. Oh, yes. So, another character gets introduced. His name is...
Steeman Seaman.
Yep.
Played by Oliver Cooper.
Yeah, he's pretty
funny.
funny.
I also felt like I recognized,
too.
But I don't know.
He basically plays like the coach and former player of a very, very popular Killcore team called...
I don't remember
what their team's called either. Either way, they're very popular. They're like classic, like pro level Killcore team. And
only kind of though, because you find out that he's just cycling people out.
Well, yeah, but he's probably cycling the best people there are.
Yeah, I guess.
So anyway, they.
But he used to be friends with Ryland
when they were kids.
And they would play a different MOBA together.
I think it was just Dota.
Oh, was it just Dota?
I think it was just Dota.
They just name dropped Dota.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and so
they made up a whole different one.
Yeah, which is I'm surprised they didn't just rip off. Probably using the footage and stuff like that for another tour. So anyway, you find out that when Ryland was a kid, he was a very, very, very successful MOBA player. I mean, they already talked about how good he is at video games.
And he has like a very famous freak out about it.
And so
because like something got deleted or something.
Yeah, his account got like permabanned or something like that.
Yeah, and he was like, "That's stupid. You know who
I am." He was like 14, 13, and he had a huge, massive freak out, flipping his bed up and down, all that stuff like that.
Because he was so good, and everyone knew who he was and stuff. So he had like this huge complex about him that was like, do you know who I am? You know,
yeah. Exactly? Are you aware who you're talking to? And so, because of this huge embarrassing tantrum he threw on like streaming, whatever, he stopped playing MOBAs, and so then that's a big part of the plot is Alex trying to convince Ryland, like, let's play again. Come on, it's worth it. And so at this charity event that they're playing, the video that of Ryland's tantrum, freak out, whatever you want to call it, was showed by Steam and Seam. Well, I think actually he told Ash, who was there reporting.
He was like,
on
"Hey, do you know who this is?
It's Booger Boss." That's Booger Boss, which was
his
Ryland's
gamer tag or whatever.
Yeah. And so they do like a huge
and
report
they were like,
on him.
"What? Booger Boss? No way!" And that's kind of basically how like their team gets any name recognition at all is because that guy's on it, you know?
Yeah, well, and also, yeah, exactly. And so they get a huge thing about him and how they started this new team, which they eventually named Esports People because I think Alex names it that.
Yeah.
Because he's like, what's your name? And he's like, shit, we're Esports People. I think it's a pretty good joke because it's like the shittiest. They make another joke later on when they're at like one of the later tournaments where the guy's like, wow, they have such a boring name that you can't even break it down. You can't be Esports, you can't be People. That doesn't make any sense. I thought that was good. So anyway, Ryland has a little bit of a freak out and whatever. But that's like a big part of his character arc. It's overcoming this past self he was. So this Ash is the person who's reporting on this, and she gets fired for one reason or another. I think somehow Steven gets her fired, doesn't he? Terry Crews is here inexplicably.
Like part of it. Yeah, he's an announcer.
Yeah, pretty funny. So her character is sort of like she's tired of everybody thinking that she's just a woman and stuff like that. Like every team wants a girl on it.
Like feminism.
Yeah, but like not super passionate about it. Mostly just like bummed and sad. Like her and Ryland have similar character traits in that they're both like kind of depressed and like nihilistic.
Yeah, they're very both like. Like they want something, but they won't let themselves have it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know her thing is that
the opposite of how Halloween Town tells you can do magic.
Wait, what?
Magic is simple. All you have to do is want something and let yourself have it.
Okay, I got you. So anyway,
I almost basically exactly opposite quoted it.
Sure,
I had to throw it out there.
Gotcha. So Ash's whole thing is that she's played Killcore before, but every team she's been on has basically just wanted a girl gamer. They don't really care about her skill. They just want her on the team.
And they allude to that later on too. They have like a whole team of girl gamers, and they make a huge thing about it's not porn. You know?
And she's like, okay, because I've had those offers before. Blah blah blah. So that's mostly also her whole character identity, and she's like never really in it until the very end. Like she never, even at the end, she doesn't seriously seem super like involved in the team and stuff like that.
If anything, she like very deteriorates by the end of it.
Yeah,
because so something that I made a note of was that like each episode, there's only 6, and 4 of them are specifically devoted to each of the other people.
Yeah, everybody has their own little redemption character or whatever.
Yeah, and so I actually didn't write anything down about Alex, but I know that he had an episode.
I mean, I think his was only...
But it was
the fight with him...
basically about being, like, becoming the manager, which maybe was just episode 1.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, like, Ryland also I didn't really write down because he kind of develops throughout because they're both the main characters, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, Sam has one where she, like, realizes that she can't really be a pro tennis person.
This is a good way to segue into Sam's character. So, yeah, Sam's entire identity is built on...
Oh, okay, but I was going to go back to the other lady.
Well, never mind then.
So should I just start with her then?
Do what you would like. I'm sorry I jumped in.
Okay, because you're just going through the entire show, and I didn't...
I'm going through the characters. I know he's all that the characters.
Well, okay, so I'll go with Ash first, I guess. So Ash has like a redemption episode, which is basically the one that we were just talking about with the whole female game team, and they basically just like pump her up, empower her, tell her how to get better, and like, oh, you know, you should try playing this character instead because like this ability will be good for your playstyle and stuff like that. And they just kind of really are like very a positive group, and like
but they're also kind of a creepy group.
Yeah, they were very cultish, like you can't have sex, and you have to play for this many hours, and we have to go on retreat for half the year, and whatever. And, like, her redemption thing, like, she's, like, a very alcoholic person, you know?
She and Alex.
Definitely an alcoholic. And her thing was just kind of coming to terms with, like letting herself like embody this role, I guess, because throughout the whole season it's like, oh, my mom doesn't want me to have this job, no one understands it, I'm a woman, this, that, the other, and then like also my team's pretty shitty, like why am I even doing this? She's just having like kind of like a midlife kind of like crisis. Career crisis thing.
Yeah.
And by the end, it's, like, a little bit better. Like, she does come back and she does get excited about it. But for me, I didn't think it was, like, clear even at all that she was, like, better because of this.
I think
whereas, like, some of the other character arcs, I felt like, okay, this is...
Yeah, but I don't think anybody was really completed by the end of it. Maybe a couple.
No, but at least bettered. I don't have a better word for that. They had some character growth,
I'd say, but I don't think they actually are, like, improved even necessarily.
I don't know.
Although maybe I'm just being cynical from watching so much BoJack. But, yeah, so I think that Ash's way of handling this, and also way of handling a lot of the sexism that she experiences, is interesting because Sam handles it in a very different way. Sam is a black woman, and there's a scene when they're...
bi woman.
Black bi woman, also, yes. So she's very... What was the thing they said in the Nancy podcast? Like, how unique do you want to be, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact terminology he used.
So there's a there's a podcast by WNYC Studios called Nancy, which is really cool. It's all about LGBT stories and, like, things in the world. And one of the ones that we were listening to was a comedian and his brother who is a trans man and also has sickle cell and is also black. And
he was like, seriously, you want to add one more thing on your plate? When he came out
as trans, the brother was like, really? Like, you want to be that much more diverse?
He wasn't saying
which
it.
Which is a very common thing that they talk about and that I've heard from my own, like, LGBT friends is, like, really how diverse do you want to get, you know?
Like, you want to...
Because, like, if you're a different race, if you're a woman, if you're this, you're that,
I mean, realistically, you are kind of making life harder for yourself because people are going to treat you terribly for that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't.
But you're not making it harder for yourself. You just already are that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like you're not choosing
and I think that's exactly right. People think that, like, it's a choice. And just to be clear, in this podcast, the brother's not... He's making a joke out of it. He's not actually saying, like, why would you want to do this? What's wrong with you? He's just...
Yeah. He's a comedian.
So anyway, going back to Sam, played by Jade Payton. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Payton. She's a black lady, and when there's an episode when they're practicing, and she's getting some horrible shit said to her, and I think Ash
they were doing a live stream.
No. I'm not talking about when Rylan jumps in.
Oh, okay.
There's a different time where she's getting some horrible shit said to her, and Ash is like, "Hey," Ash is a white woman, by the way, and from what I understand, she's straight. I don't really know that for sure.
Yeah,
but
it's not touched on.
Yeah, but she's like, "Hey, you know, basically, sorry that sucks. Whatever. Like, here's how you should handle it."
She said, "I don't need you to white
save me."
Yeah,
and Sam's like, "Listen, I basically deal with much worse things than you do, even in you being a woman. You know, so just like chill the fuck out. I've got this."
Yeah, and then later they touch on the same thing where they're doing a live stream and
people are saying terrible shit to Sam, like horrible.
Yeah, and Rylan jumps in and he's like, "Oh my god," and he's like talking shit back to these people, saying like, "Don't say that stuff," and Sam's like getting drunk because she's having a terrible life at this point.
Yeah.
Just like a stressful life, I guess. And saying like, "No, like this stuff happens to me every day. There's a reason why I have my chat off."
Exactly.
Like I'm choosing to ignore it. Like you doing this just like perpetuates that it's like a conversation to be had.
Absolutely. And so she deals with it by basically ignoring it, by muscling through it. And that's kind of her entire character. She is just driven. She's, you know, okay, I have a new game to play. I'm going to do it obsessively. She plays and drinks and plays and drinks and plays and drinks. She's like a power player.
But she wasn't drinking as much in the beginning. I think the drinking really started when she kind of lost all of her tennis dreams because that was her life.
Yeah, so she's basically trying to recover from her tennis injury. And
so not only is she a woman, not only is she black, not only is she bi, but she has an untraditional career. Non-traditional career, which is like they're all very diverse, very stressful things to be a part of.
And she just she handles that by hitting it hard. Yeah, so I think she's a cool character.
Yeah, very cool.
And it's interesting seeing how like the show tends to talk about a lot of really, you know, like relevant social issues and stuff like that, but it also treats them in a very comedic way, and in doing that it kind of treats them like, I don't like, it doesn't fixate on them, which is interesting, I think. Like, again, there's
but that's like I kind of like that because like it fixates on it enough for it to be talked about, but not enough for it to be like, okay, we're the show that's going to deal with this issue.
Exactly.
You know, and it feels very like real life.
It's acknowledging them without dwelling on them. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. That was like a big portion of her character, and I thought it was very cool how she responded to it. You know, not that it's not an issue, but like, what am I gonna do? Let it cripple me?
Yeah. And to go further into like her redemption episode, it was like when she found out that she couldn't do tennis anymore, and so she like really hit it hard into Killcore. And everyone kind of like, they thought that they were tricking her into liking it and stuff, but she was just like, that was her next course of action.
She just needed to be crazy on something.
Yeah. So Sam really had a lot of, I think, development. I think she had more development like throughout the show as well.
Moments in the show for me though.
What?
Lorenzo.
Oh yeah, at the very.
We can get there.
Oh, okay.
When we talk about Lorenzo, I think it's fun.
Yeah, okay.
You like that little hint right there, guys? You gotta stick with it.
Whatever. Okay.
Anyway, next character.
Let's just do Lorenzo now.
What? All right, fine. So Lorenzo's our main man. He's cool. I love him.
He's an older, not elderly at all, but like
40-something.
Older than everyone else. Gay man, gay white man. And.
Well, his name is Lorenzo Santea, so maybe he's not white.
But he's
Caucasian, I guess. I mean, he's white in skin.
I know he's Jewish. They talk about him being Jewish.
In the show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't they? Am I being racist?
No, I don't know. His last name is Ornstein, so I wouldn't be super surprised at that.
No, I'm pretty sure they talk about him being Jewish.
Okay, maybe.
Oh, no.
That's fine. It's okay. You're not being racist.
I just feel like maybe Dan talked about being Jewish, but maybe that's just because I know he is of Jewish background.
Anyway, Lorenzo is their landlord, and he's at first kind of comes off as like this guy. I was like, listen, where the fuck's my rent? I'm going to kick you out. And then very quickly transitions into like being pro team, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he clearly just wants to participate.
Oh, you want to hang out? Like, yeah, he very much is just like wanting to be social.
Yeah.
And he's bad. We already covered that.
He's awful. The
he
point
never
they keep making,
really gets good.
He learns how to heal like once.
He has like lessons with Rylan's character at one point, and then he ends up learning a few things, mostly just like communication, I would say, because there are several times like after that where he's like, should I heal? And everyone's like, no,
don't do it now. Yeah. I think once in like one of the last matches he does do it at the right time too.
So he learns a little bit, but definitely not as much as you would hope.
Yeah.
And it's mostly just like, well, I'll go into that later.
So yeah, but anyway, he's an interesting character because he's very dorky and he seems pretty oblivious most of the time. And one of the things he's oblivious to is the fact that everybody's basically taking advantage of him for his money.
Yes. And that's what I wanted to talk about later.
Well.
Just like the abuse of whether it's financial or like social abuse, I guess, like friendship abuse of every character with each other.
Yeah, they're all pretty users.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Which we can talk more about.
Yeah.
Later.
So anyway, and so Lorenzo's cool. Eventually, he kind of comes to terms with the fact that he sucks at the game, and he also doesn't really care. You know, he just wants to be part of a group, and that's.
Yeah, but it's pretty sad, and like he is treated pretty bad. Not even like in chat or anything, but just like by like Kamal.
Yeah.
He's like very, very mean, and I'm sure that like some people are just mean in games anyway. So it's not like he never hears anything bad about himself, but like specifically like during the stream, like Sam was getting shit on the entire time, and he was like getting so praised, especially after they had like the big fight, because they had it while the stream was going, and then everyone was like basically treating him like a puppy, you know?
Yeah, like, oh, what a sweet guy. It's so cute and blah, blah, blah. I mean, he got a fan group. Like, they got a lot of their fans because he was so sad and pathetic, which is kind of sad. There's a scene later on where they're at this big party, like, for the final tournament, and he meets this dude who, was he like a cameo or something? Because they made a big deal about who he was.
He was a
voice actor
for the game.
Sure, but was the actor like an important cameo?
I don't know that.
Well, anyway, and he's I'm assuming that guy's bi, and him and Lorenzo are sweet and have like a moment. It looks like he's into him for a while. And in that same episode, Sam foreshadows that she always ends up making out with someone's boyfriend or girlfriend at a party or something like that. And sure enough, she does that. She steals the guy from Lorenzo, and it's very sad because like Lorenzo's just kind of an older dude who just.
And they don't even really address it after.
No,
they're all just like dancing, and then Sam decides like, okay, I'm gonna kiss this dude, and she does.
Yeah, but
and
Lorenzo's like right next to her.
Lorenzo's right there, and he looks over, and he's just like so sad.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted him to win one, you know, because Sam wins at everything.
Yeah, exactly. And Lorenzo's just kind of there.
Even if she doesn't feel like it, you know, they're definitely like...
They're like opposite characters because he's sitting there and he's just happy to be part of it. He's not trying to drive himself.
They are very opposite.
And then she never feels like it's good enough, even though she's busting her ass nonstop, you know? So I don't know. It's sad.
Very sad. Okay, so now...
Kamal. Sorry, I could have sworn it was Kamal, but it's not. It's Kamal. He is the resident racist, sexist troll on the team, and somehow they make him likable. It's pretty interesting. I wouldn't say that likable, but...
Well, so, like, they definitely tone it down, and I think that's when he becomes more likable, because they, like, one, they tone it down, and then also they humanize him by giving him, like a relationship, and like, oh, he's just a teenage boy, and which I don't really love, because like they condemn him for trolling and everything like that, but then they also give him a kind of boys will be boys, you
mentality,
know?
Yeah, or at least teenagers will be teenagers mentality, yeah. And so he's awful to every single person. Constantly, he's just horrible, and I'm not talking about every person like they're fighting against. Everybody on the team, except for like Alex.
No, he's pretty bad to him,
bad.
but definitely not as bad.
Yeah,
but I think that he just doesn't feed into it, whereas other people do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so especially him and Sam are always going back and forth.
And he's like one of the only people who has ever like seriously called him out on it too.
Yeah, and also one of the things that they kind of deal with this is that he's by far one of the better players. They basically make it clear that it's him and Ryland who are the top two in the team skill wise.
Do they?
Yeah.
I mean, I got that Ryland was good, but I felt like him and
remember Ryland pulls him aside and saying, "Hey, listen, we're the best two in the team."
That was when they were trying to trick him. Though.
I also think that he's really good. He was one of the few people that they chose because he was so skilled.
Yeah, but they did the same thing with Sam.
Sure, but
like I thought, like that's what I was about to say was, isn't Sam like as?
But
good as
I don't think she was consistently good in the beginning until they like re-tricked her into it being a competitive thing. There was a lot of deception, like you were saying. A lot of times.
Yeah, definitely a lot of deception.
Yeah, I mean everybody's tricking.
There were like specifically 2 different episodes, one with Sam, one with Kamal, where they were tricking them into being a better part of the team in one way or another.
That's true.
And then another one where they were tricking Alex into being a good manager. You know.
That's also true.
And another one where they had to like trick / heart to heart Ryland and have him come back.
Yeah, and lots of them where they just trick Lorenzo like the entire time.
Yes, the entire time.
Yeah, so there's lots of deception.
So much deception. Like it's like a nice like heartfelt like kind of show and everything like that, and it feels very like a TV sitcom, you know. But it also is just like as much as you can redeem these characters and as much
they're all being pretty shitty.
Yeah. They're just all like shitbags to each other. Like you could see any of them saying, "Okay, well, fuck it," at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that they make that clear. You know, these characters aren't super 100% invested.
Well, yeah, they've made that very clear.
So I think we got the main cast.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is pretty much secondary characters.
I feel like we didn't really talk about Kamal that much, but they didn't really give him a lot. Like,
yeah, he
eventually he has, like, kind of a redemption where he realizes, like, okay, you know, if I shouldn't deal it out if I can't take it, because he has that moment with Sam where she tries to give some back to him and he's, like, actually hurt by it.
She calls him smelly or something, right?
Yeah, like something like like he's over here like being super sexist, super racist, super everything, and she's like, you smell, and that just sets him off.
Yeah, he which spirals.
I think they probably did on purpose, you know.
Yeah, like, definitely. Like, oh, really? Nobody ever hits you where it hurts.
Yeah.
Like
and then eventually they get him to a point where he's like interested in girls at the end, and they kind of focus on that, and so that's where they kind of start humanizing him of like, oh, he's just like
a shitty teenage boy.
A shitty teenager. Yeah.
So
and then other than that, the only other, like, we already talked about Steven Seaman, the only other like big character is Jesse, who is in every single episode, played by Jesse Cox.
I don't know who Jesse Cox is, first of all.
He's from Beard Bros.
He's one of the guys?
He's not. No, he's not from Beard Bros. I think he's a part of the Normal Boots company. He's not from Beard Bros.
Okay.
Because that is Gerard and
Alex? I think his name's
yes.
Alex.
Yeah. And not Jesse.
Who are these two people we just mentioned are not in any way related to Good Game in the slightest, just so that's not clear.
It's just like everyone has like their channel name and then their company name and then their sub-channel name. You know, it's
confusing shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's the creator of Killcore, and
YouTuber.
like every end of the episode they have a weird
they have
scene
like
where
a
he's
like a 30-second to a minute scene where he's he's just like very depressed for having made this game,
in the pool,
mad that people are playing it, like going insane about it, like maybe about to kill himself, you know,
or,
like you don't know,
like take over the world. It's just that unclear. Also, there's a Dan Harmon, because this is a Dan Harmon made show, if that's not clear. And there's
that's not clear. What do you mean? We never said that.
We said in the beginning. Did we say something about Community in the beginning?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
Did we?
Well, not if it's not clear. If you didn't know, Dan Harmon created this show.
It's as if like he like puts a watermark over the screen or something. And that was if it's not clear, this is Dan Harmon made.
So this is a Dan Harmon made show, like Community and Rick and Morty, and I'm not sure what else he made.
Those are the two big ones.
And he has a cameo pretty early on too. Not that that's really important. It's very small. He's the one who fires Ash.
Yeah, I remember that, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to talk about at this point? Like main
as
themes?
As far as characters, no. Like the main
most
biggest...
of the characters are pretty shitty. I was gonna say most of the characters are pretty
that's
shitty.
what I was gonna say. The main biggest theme that I want to talk about was just like the abuse of everyone toward each other. But and that's like one of the worst aspects of the show, I guess, is just that like if you realize that, then it's like, oh, like, you know, I was kind of pulling for these people. They're not presented
as likable as you'd like. I think they maybe even go a little bit too far on like the realism aspect of these characters.
Yeah.
Because they're just kind of shitty people.
Yeah.
You know, like and
they all have merits, but I think they focus more on their
shitty aspects.
Demerits, I guess.
Yeah.
But one of the other things that I want to talk about, which we already very touched upon, was the amount of diversity in the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they did like a very good job of having like diverse cast, but also themes and stuff. They have like most of the cast is obviously white, but they have a black girl on there, being Sam.
A third of the main cast is women.
Yes, they have two women.
A third of the main cast
Kamal
is
Indian.
Yeah, one of them's Indian.
Yep, and then I like how you're giving me
some percentages here.
Yeah,
nice.
Not percentages
or
though.
Whatever, same thing. Fractions.
Fractions.
It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Sorry, 33.33%.
So 2 women, 2 people who are LGBT, 2 people of other races.
Yeah,
you know.
and then of course there's 4 white people. I mean, technically.
And then I guess if I'm pretty sure they talk about being Jewish, but I can't be positive. But if they do talk about that, then some religious diversity.
Yeah, and also as far as actors go, isn't Danny ethnically Jewish? Because his father's from Israel, right?
Yeah, he's Jewish.
Okay.
I don't know if he's like a practicing Jew. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's not.
Anyway.
I mean, like, he talks about eating, like, pork and, like, all of these things all the time.
So, anyway,
like,
it's very diverse.
Yes. Very diverse, which is very cool. And they have, like, a lot of diverse themes, and they deal with that, like
in a mature, pretty upfront way.
And in a very upfront way. And in a way where it's, like, it's clear that it's not just, like, I want to say, like, plot device, even though it is a plot device, but it's clear that it's, like, a thing that happens every day, all day, for these people, you know?
Yeah, they never present it like, oh, how could I? Oh, no, this is such a big deal for me. It's very much like, hey, this is who I am.
It's not like in, like, actual sitcoms where you have, like, the one episode about the one black kid and, oh, his dad's in jail and, like, this and that.
Yeah, and they make kind of a stereotype situation.
Yeah, it's not like that at all. It's just like, hey, these are the problems I deal with. I don't want your help, and that's, like, a personal thing for me. That's a personal choice. And, like, some people might feel the opposite. Like, if you're a black woman and a white man decides to stand up for you, you might think, wow, that was really nice. But other people, like Sam, might think, you know,
I don't need this.
I don't need that. Yeah.
And that's interesting. You know, again, it's very self-aware and mature.
Yeah, they do a good job of making it clear that this is a personal decision, and also it's a personal issue for them, and it's not really any
But I also think it's interesting that in discussing these relevant social issues, they don't go too close to the social justice warrior mentality about it, where they're, like, trying to crucify people who persecute these kind of people. I mean, they are obviously
taking a stance.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not like they're on a pulpit. It's not like the entire show is saying you shouldn't be racist. It's just saying, like, this is a real part of life, and we're acknowledging that.
And another diverse-ish aspect is the fact that they all are making a career of being like esports people.
Yeah, which again is a name which I love.
Well,
they're all pro gamers, you know, which is I guess you could say growing field, even though it's such a huge minority of people. I mean, you have to be insane.
But it's like a non-traditional career, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is another aspect of diversity, not in the normal way though. So I really loved that about the show. That's probably one of the things that I walked out of the show liking the most about it. Was just the fact that they tried to be so inclusive.
Yeah, definitely. So, what else do you want to go to next? Overall feelings, or is there anything else
I would like to talk about relationships really quick.
Sure.
Because I have major issues with them in the show.
Sure.
Like intimate relationships.
Okay.
Not just like friend to friend. Yeah. Specifically.
Oh, I know where we're going with this.
Wait. You're spoiling. I mean, it's gonna be a spoiler anyway. But Kamal ends up finding a girl at the end. She's also pretty shitty. They fit. Whatever. Sam ends up kissing that dude at the end.
But she's, like, hooking up with people nonstop through the entire thing, so it's not very...
Yeah. No.
It's not really like a relationship.
No. I don't... No, but I meant just, like, romantic stuff. And then Lorenzo also kind of wants to be with him. Very sad. We already touched on that.
Yeah. Sam's asshole to Lorenzo.
Yeah. Does Alex's character ever... I think eventually he kind of says, like at the party, doesn't he, like, hint at, like, going to find someone to hook up with?
Yeah, but again, it's
Alex's character. They never like, touch on that, you know? He's not, like, a person in the show where they're like, who's he gonna end up with, you know?
He's not that kind of character. He's just a
he's
fella.
Just kind of floater.
Yeah.
Floater of a character.
Which is fine,
yeah.
Fits him.
Yeah. He's a very, like, laid-back person where it's not like, I have huge issues, you know? And then fucking Rylan and Ash, they try and make a thing of it, and I hate that.
But they don't make a thing of it.
But they do.
No. There's almost a thing, and then neither of the characters go with it.
They have, like, in episode, like, 4 or 5 or some shit, they have, like, this big meaningful moment of, like, they're giving each other a look, and it's, like, at the very end, and I'm like, really? If they do this, I'm gonna just be so mad. Because they do. Hang on! Would you let me get my thoughts out without ruining the punchline?
Well, yeah, sure, I guess. Keep going. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I bet you are, Elliot.
I am.
You will be later. They try and make this huge thing about it, and the whole time I was mad because they're doing such a good job of this being a diverse show, and I really wanted that to come through in their overall production and theme of it too. You know, not so much in the fact that it is very, like, a TV sitcom, you know, because it comes off, like, the way that it's shot, the pacing, the story arc, it all seems like that. But I really wanted them to not go the traditional everyone needs to end up with someone route, you know? And I think they tried to avoid that by having, like, Sam and Lorenzo have this kind of love triangle almost kind of thing. but I just don't think they did a good enough job. And then at the very end, Rylan and Ash are like stuck in this wine cellar together, and they're like hands touch, and then they look up and they almost kiss, and they're like right about to smooch, and then they're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't, you know?
Yes, and that's
as
my point.
Elliot already informed you, they almost kiss, but then they don't.
My point is that it feels like that was like trying to lead us into that trope, and then saying, just kidding, they're not doing it.
I really think that if they have a next season, which they probably will, and they set themselves up for, they will have those characters get together.
I think they might get together, and they might realize that this is not something
they're very much the same person.
Sure.
You know?
They are. They're very similar.
But I just really wish they didn't. And it's not because, like I know, like, Aaron and Susie or anything. Susie, by the way, makes a cameo. Yeah, she's like a cute little dressed up, like
crazy
weeaboo almost kind of person.
Yeah, it was funny.
I don't know if she's supposed to be like something
like
specific,
fan, like
but yeah. That's what she is. Pretty cool though. And it's not because like I know him and her and I know like their relationship or anything. It's not like a real world issue.
Uh-huh.
It's just the fact that I really didn't want them to.
It felt too tropish.
Yeah, and I even mentioned like I'm only mentioning that it's not a real world issue because Ash comes off very Susie-ish, if you know her. Like in the way that like she dresses and like puts herself out there. Like if you see like them in like a Game Grumps like a live action kind of thing, like where they do like Q&As and stuff like that, she kind of like hardens herself a little bit and like makes herself come off a little bit like very Ash-ish, you know?
I don't know if I've seen that, but I haven't watched as many Game Grumps live Q&As as you.
I get it. Like Susie is very much more like a kind like more gentler
Ash is
version
such a
of
cynic
her
in the show.
Yeah, like definite. Well, I mean, Susie gets a little bit dark, but like if you came in knowing Susie and Aaron, your first thought would be like, oh, that's the Susie of the show. And that kind of sucks.
I didn't think that.
I did, and that's the reason why I'm saying it's not like a real world thing. It's not because I didn't want them to get together because she's very Susie-ish, or because I know that he has a relationship and it weirds me out.
Susie is Aaron's wife for
yeah.
life. Because I don't know. I think we might have just brought the Susie name up, and she's also runs the channel.
I just really didn't want them to be that trope, you know.
They didn't. That's the thing. They didn't.
But they did.
No,
it was enough.
They
where
teased ya.
Nah, it was enough.
It
was enough where it overstepped it.
I don't think so.
If they had not had that end moment and they just like tricked us where it was like, we're longingly looking at each other, then I would have said, okay, well, they're letting that go. But they just didn't let it go enough.
For you?
It made it seem like it was definitely going to be a thing next time.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so that's basically all I wanted to talk about here. So do you want to go to our final thoughts?
Sure. So this is a comedy. I don't know if this is clear. I hope it's clear at this point.
Well, I've said sitcom several times.
Yeah, well, this show is a comedy. And okay, so I'm a big fan of the Game Grumps, and I'm also a big fan of the YouTube Red idea, or YouTube in general. Like the idea that these people have these shows. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos, much more than I do watching general TV shows. Well,
yeah, for
maybe
sure.
if you look at how long each episode of a normal TV show is. I mean, we just watched 3 seasons of BoJack, but again, that's different. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it. And so as far as an offering on YouTube, I think it's awesome because it definitely stands up as its own TV show.
And if you wanted to check it out, by the way, the first 2 episodes I think are free on the Game Grumps channel.
Yeah, and they have a pretty similar feel.
And I think if you just look up YouTube Red stuff,
you can also get a free subscription to YouTube Red too.
Yeah, you can get a free subscription, but if you've already blown that for yourselves, the couple first
just make
episodes
a new email.
Don't scam.
Yeah, so anyway,
first couple episodes are free.
Yeah. But yeah, so as far as like a show and its own merit, it wasn't as funny as I had hoped. There were definitely some actual moments that made me laugh out loud. But a lot of the humor is very deadpan. There's no laugh track, which I always give as a merit to a show. I don't think like shows that have laugh tracks. I think it kind of forces you to think it's funny. You know, I'm a big subscriber of that idea. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of it was not as funny as I think they would have wanted, or as that I would have wanted it to be. That's not to say it's not an entertaining show. But again, I'm also really into gaming and Let's Play and esports and stuff like that. Not really into it, but like I'm a fan of those genres. And so if someone had watched that as a non part of that gaming, community, they may not have thought it was near as funny.
Yeah, no, because they're not at all a part of that community.
Sure.
Like you said, like they're not gonna get those in jokes.
Sure, definitely. It's definitely a
And
show
that's like
aimed
the main
at a very
theme of it,
specific demographic.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, my alarm was going on.
So it's aimed at a very specific demographic. It's certain people are going to understand the social aspects of it without it being offensive, and also without it being too in your face, socially sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be into gaming.
So I agree that you have to be into gaming to get the most out of this show. I think that people who knew of this thing might get a kick out of it and it would be fine. But I think that it is on par with most TV humor.
I'd say it's above par for a lot of them. I think it's better than most sitcoms that people are offering today.
Well, yeah, but the way that you're talking about it is like, well, it wasn't that good, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't...
But, like, as far as, like, a TV show goes, it's that, you know?
So, yeah, to be clear, I think I agree with you. It's very similar to being on par with most TV shows, but I also don't like most TV shows.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I'm very critical of a lot of
But I want to make it clear that it is very much like a normal modern sitcom.
Not in a bad way, not like it's like that in a bad way, but like quality wise, it's well done.
Quality, humor,
it's funny. The acting's
writing.
good, and to note, this is Dan and Erin's first time acting in any meaningful way.
And I know that they did take some classes, either before or during and stuff, just to like prep and everything. And I know that they had done. Yeah, okay. I loved Community.
Was it similar in?
It's not The Community.
Whatever. Was it similar in pacing and interaction stuff?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier on. Is that this, in every way, to me, being raised on TV my entire life, having watched sitcoms from the age of like 2 with my family every single week, was very exactly TV. It was very TV quality.
And you're saying that in a good way, right? Not a bad way?
Yes.
Okay.
It was well, so if you don't like that, then it would be considered bad for you, but like it's shot in a very TV way. It has a good quality of that. It's written in a very TV way.
Yeah.
It has good quality of that. It has good humor. It has the same on par actors that you would see on TV, minus the fact that
some of them are not.
Dan and Erin aren't like a part of that world necessarily, but that's not to say that they were bad at all. They did a great job.
No, and I think they both did good. I think they were believable. It was hard for me not to see them as Dan and Erin. It was hard for me to see
that's
Erin not as Erin.
I wanted to talk about the fact that if you really like Game Grumps, if you really like who they are in Game Grumps,
this might be weird.
This is definitely going to be like a step out of your comfort zone because they're not the same people.
They are kind of the same people.
They are acting. And
definitely.
on Game Grumps, they're not. While if you met them in person, they might not be these zany dudes that you see on Game Grumps. They're not acting in the same way.
But I'd also say that the characters that they're presented as are not far enough from their Game Grumps personas to. It was weird. It was like the uncanny valley of like character almost.
Like because, you could see them being this person, but they're not normally how you hear them being.
Danny in Game Grumps is generally a positive guy, and he's kind of goofy, kind of doofy, whatever. Mm-hmm. And Erin's kind of a grumpy guy. I mean, it's Game Grumps, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
so I think that they wrote it in a way where it's not
they didn't have to be out of the comfort zone very
far
much.
from their, and they probably did this on purpose.
Sure.
Not too far from a believable person that they could be. Both to probably make it easier on them as new actors, but also to make it easier on their fan base of like, whoa, who are you?
Yeah, definitely.
Believability.
I think that I enjoyed Alex's character a lot more than I did Ryland's character. I think Ryland's character felt more two-dimensional.
Oh.
Which is weird because he had the most what felt like forced growth. They tried to make him go through a lot of stuff, but he just felt always like did he smile the entire show?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, either way,
he was definitely like a bum dude. Like
he just felt like a constant. It felt like an absolute constant. And a lot of the characters felt like they were telling us that they had depth, but I wasn't seeing it in the acting. I don't know. It was.
I didn't see that.
I don't know. I think that like Lorenzo very much felt like an absolutely fully fleshed out character, or at least his acting felt very 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 fully fleshed out. Yeah. And I think that Ash as well felt that way. I think that
I think Sam felt that way.
I think Sam to a little bit of lesser degree to me felt that
way.
Really. Yeah, she was still basically.
Because that was the first person I thought of when, like, as an anti-example to you. So I think it's just preference and
Yeah.
like how you're reading the characters and stuff
Yeah,
too.
I
Because
guess
like
so.
I don't really get the feeling that they're 2-dimensional.
I don't really want to say two-dimensional. I just think that
I
they're...
think that definitely the characters of Alex and Ryland are less fleshed out than the other players on the team.
And I think that's fine for Alex. I think that for Ryland, that's not fine because he's the main character and he's the one who has the biggest
and
setup.
I think that as like a fan of Game Grumps coming into this, you might want to see more of them and more work by them rather than it being like an all-inclusive show of
but
every
then again,
actor.
I also like that they have a full cast, full ensemble. I think it'd be weird if it was just the Danny and Aaron show.
And they do give them growth throughout and everything, but
so
as far as quality goes, I think it's on par with television.
Yeah, and I think as for me personally, it's not the funniest show I've ever seen.
No, but you hate sitcoms, which we already talked about.
I don't hate all sitcoms, but I generally don't like sitcoms. You're right. I generally don't enjoy sitcoms. I think it's shitty and tropey. And this show, again, wasn't exactly a sitcom in the same way. It was drama-ish.
Not fully.
Which is kind of like a story, which was interesting. Like a funny story, and everybody's trying to be funny. But
as far as, like, the other things on YouTube Red, not that I've watched all of them, but I've watched a huge chunk of what they offer. It's the most television-esque thing that you'll get on there. I mean, they have reality stuff, so you can't really say that either.
Yeah, but you look at something like Escape the Night, or like...
Yeah.
I didn't see Buddy System, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Didn't love it.
All right.
Especially like compared to this, like this is much more of a TV show, whereas like Buddy System, for example, if you've seen that, feels much more like a mashup of Rhett and Link's body of work at this point. It feels like almost like a resume.
Oh, interesting.
Like they would if no one knew them, if no one knew what they were about, they might hand that over and say, look, we act, we do skits, we do a talk show kind of thing, which you see, we do this, we do that, we sing. And it very much feels like a resume wrapped up into a show, which has like a loose storyline that's like weird and doesn't really like fit. Whereas this is very like it's like a guy who works in TV made this show.
Yeah,
it is a TV show.
Absolutely, the writing was fine. The story was interesting. You know, they set up for a good second season. You know, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna watch the second season. I'm not giving it a shitty rating. For me, it was above average, but that may be because of the content and maybe because of the fact that I'm such a Grumps fan.
Okay, so going into this, let me ask first, do you think they should make a second season?
Sure.
Would you watch a second?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you would watch it because I'm going to watch it.
Well, no,
I would
there's lots
watch
of shows
it.
you've started that I haven't finished and vice versa.
That's true.
There's shows that you started that I've gotten into.
I would definitely watch this. I'm invested. I was already invested as soon as they announced that they were doing this. But that's because I love Game Grumps.
Yeah, I like them as characters. So, I mean, I'm probably going to support anything that they do. But but I also will enjoy the show as I watch it. When we'd watch it every night, whenever we watched it, every week, I guess, I enjoyed it. It was not something I was like dreading or by counting time. Yeah. I was invested. I was enjoying it. It was funny. You know, like I said, the show had me usually at least once per episode actually laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Which even if one per episode that's 6 laugh out louds, that's hard to get on modern television these days for me. You know, unless I'm very susceptible or in like a crazy mood. Yeah. You know, generally, I'm not a laugh out louder.
Okay. I mean, I also say the same thing. I think that they should have another season. Yeah. And they set themselves up very well for it, like we already said. I do wish that they would make it like an actual TV length of a season, especially with a show. It was 30 minutes.
Okay.
But there's only 6 episodes, and generally on TV, you either get 12 or 24.
Well, that's how long a pilot season usually is, only 6.
That's true. Pilot seasons are normally less, but it's like a YouTube trend now that you get like 6 episodes, and you have to just make it work.
Yeah,
and
that's a pretty short time span.
Yeah, it's very short. Especially like with other shows, I didn't mind it as much, but with this show specifically being like
a fully scripted show.
Yes, a fully scripted show. It feels like I needed a little bit more of that, and they did a great job of having everyone. This is like a great like pilot season of a show, you know, like a lot of shows have like very bad pilot seasons. You have to like get all of that development out there before you can really start telling a story.
Yeah, for dealing with 6 characters who all had what I'm thinking is relatively equal screen time. I mean, again, we're looking at this. Every character was in every episode, and every character had...
And they all had kind of like their own arc.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and then, that's pretty difficult to do, right? Six characters are always on screen together at all times. That's a team. You're writing about a team. That's hard, And now none of these characters really had their own subplots going along, or if they did, they weren't necessarily 100% separated. Like, oh, Alex didn't have a shitty home life, and like this thing, whatever. But they did enough as well.
Yeah.
And it was good. I didn't feel anybody was neglected, and that's a pretty good feat for 6 episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I have 2 more questions.
Go for it.
Do you think people should get YouTube Red specifically to watch this show?
So I'm glad you're asking me this, because when I follow Game Grumps on Facebook, and when they had the announcements about, hey, listen, our good game's out, a huge chunk of the comments were either Susie sucks or it just is.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Susie, we love you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody hates you so much for no reason. But stupid. Also, fuck this. I would love to see the show. But I'm not getting YouTube Red.
And when they announced it, they put out a real face. What am I trying to say? Like where they're in person.
Yeah, like a live action.
Live action.
Real face? What are you talking about?
Because they don't do like face stuff normally.
We don't do face cam.
Yeah. They put out a live action video on Facebook, which it's not uncommon for them to do a live action video. Not what we're saying. Anyway, they put out a video on Facebook saying like, we know that you might not have YouTube Red, but here are its merits, and like, yeah, it's on there, and yeah, that sucks. Yeah, you have to pay for it, but it's not that much. It's only like $9 a month, right?
I think yeah.
And like the first episodes are free, and if you haven't gotten it yet, now's like a really good time. And that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about, is if you're at all interested in this, there's a ton of shit on there right now. So if you don't have a free trial yet,
you can watch so much.
If you got some free time on you, if you got like a good solid long
2 days,
weekend, 2
even
days,
yeah,
anytime, like if you're gonna like really just like wanting to get into some new shows, there's a ton of stuff on there. None of them are that crazy long. A lot of things already have 2nd or 3rd seasons
That's
out.
True.
There are a ton of movies on there too that are of varying quality but good.
Varying quality. We should do a podcast about The Thinning.
Hey, I liked that movie.
I know you did. I could barely.
And it was shot well. We can say that.
Sure, but I feel like that's a dime a dozen. It wasn't shot well. It was shot adequately.
Yes.
Adequately.
Anyway, this isn't about that movie.
So yeah, YouTube Red's awesome, right? I'm gonna be honest and say that there's just so much quality out there, and if you
I can't believe you remember the name of it. I didn't.
I'm good at names. If you like YouTube in general, and a lot of really really famous YouTubers have their own YouTube Red shows. Vsauce has their own YouTube show.
And if you like video gaming, there's a million shows on there for that.
Yeah.
Not a million, but there are several. So
Yeah,
Game Grumps have one. Matt Pat has one, which is really cool. There are others too, but.
Tons.
Yeah.
So my point is, even if you have already blown your free subscription, or if you don't think you're going to be able to watch it all in a month, the fact that unless you are dirt poor, then I don't know how you're affording data or Wi-Fi, the fact that it's $10 a month is just not a valid complaint. I mean, it can be your valid complaint for not doing it, but it's not a valid complaint for like, this is why I'm not watching the show for the only reason. In addition, YouTube Red gives you a free Google Play subscription, unlimited, which means that you can get any song that's on the Google Play Store for free whenever you want. It's like a music streaming service, and it's amazing. In addition, not even for the YouTube Red shows, just paying for YouTube Red gives you the ability to
skip ads. Not skip,
no,
but not
there are
even
no
have
ads, which I love. I hate advertisements. That's one of the reasons I don't watch TV, and it's classic sense these days, because ads are horrible. I don't want to sit there. I mean, I just hate ads.
No ads at all. And
also,
you can
close your phone and still listen to it.
You can lock your screen and still have it going. So if you listen to people who are mostly voice-based, or if you listen to a lot of music through there,
which I do.
Which, I mean, I guess you wouldn't even really. Well, you would need it for some things. I was gonna say you wouldn't need that with Google Play, but there are plenty of things like they probably don't have like Breath of the Wild soundtrack or something like that on there, which I know that they do on YouTube.
Yeah. So I watch Critical Role, which is a really famous D&D podcast, and on YouTube they have the videos of them playing it.
Oh wait, okay, here we go. For instance, you could listen to this and lock your phone.
Was that not clear?
Well, because you were gonna be talking about a different podcast.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Critical Role is a live-action D&D playthrough. Very great. You should check it out. Unrelated. However, I like to listen to it because it's mostly an audio experience. They don't show you the board a lot of times when you're watching the show. Mostly you see the characters' reactions, and they're all very charismatic people. And so what I like to do is listen to it, and then if they say something really funny, or like, what? Here's a visual part of it. I can just unlock my phone and look at it exactly, and that's just the perfect setup for me. I play YouTube videos in my car all the time, and I can only do that because YouTube Red. Otherwise, I have to sit there and nurse my phone with the screen on.
That's true.
I can't put it in my pocket with headphones on because it's so. For me, it's a must-have. I love having YouTube Red. Again, this isn't a paid sponsorship, obviously, because we're uploading this on YouTube. I just want to be clear. It sounds like we're like hyping shit.
I really like YouTube Red, and I think that a lot of people bandwagon hate it. Like we asked Trevor, the original Trevor of the Trevors,
good friend of mine.
Like, oh hey, have you watched any YouTube Red shows? Because it was like at the point when I had just binged like a lot of them,
and he was like, no, fuck that.
He was like, and I was like, are you gonna answer me? And he was like, oh, you were being serious? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, nah, fuck that shit. And I was like, why? And he was like, because it's stupid. And I was like, but why? And like, he's like one of those people where it's like classic, like very clear. You're just bandwagoning. You literally have no anything to stand on here. You have zero opinion of it besides it's bad, and you don't even know why you think it's bad.
Trevor, sorry, roasting you, but it's got to be done. It's for the point of this podcast.
You deserve this.
So anyway, yeah. If you have any interest in the show, get YouTube Red. It's not gonna break your bank. I mean, if you have 6 other subscription services like Loot Crate and Hulu and Netflix,
and
keep an eye out for it.
It's a thing that's very easy to cancel. If you have like $10 to spare, and you like
think about how much you spend on coffee.
And but not everyone drinks coffee.
Whatever shit you buy.
Yeah, it's $10 and it lasts you a whole month. You know, it's not like you can cancel it the next month if you didn't watch it that much.
Think
and
about it this way.
That's exactly what I do.
How much does it cost to go to the movies?
Okay, but you let me finish my thought again twice in the same
I'm
podcast,
sorry.
Elliot. Exactly what I do is I buy it when I really want to watch a bunch of things, and then I cancel it once I don't think I'll be using it. Yeah. And like to me, ads aren't a huge deal, especially because like they almost never come up for me. I don't know why, but when I cast on Chromecast,
I've noticed that.
They just barely ever come up, really, and that's the main thing that I watch YouTube on is our Chromecast, and which not an ad either,
Chromecast is great,
really good.
There's any TV to a smart TV,
only $20,
and it's not a subscription; you just get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, like, think about this for value-wise. You go to the movies, and you and I went to the movies last week, and just the tickets were like $20. It was $18. What the fuck?
Also, we live in a big city.
Sure, so it's more expensive here. But either way, you go into the movies, it's expensive.
And then we bought food, so our total bill was like $50.
We spent $50. Of course, I had a beer out there. But whatever. The point is, we each had snacks and beverage and whatever. It was insane. I think about how much money you spend at Redbox. Think about how much money cable costs. YouTube Red offers you so many movies, so many shows of, again, varying qualities, but so much variance in everything, you know, in the content they offer.
Yeah.
Like, for example, this is basically a sitcom. Then they have a reality TV show with like Escape the Night or something like that. And then which is kind of a reality TV show, also kind of not.
It's scripted
reality
with reality.
Yeah, and then they have a show like
it's
Brain,
very
what was Vsauce's show called?
Mindfield,
and it's basically like a psychological breakdown.
It's
TV
exactly
show.
like Brain Games.
Yeah, it's Brain Games, but like they go a lot more into the actual specific studies.
Science.
Yeah, and it's and there's so many more. I'm barely scratching the surface. There's like what was that one show?
There's movies. Game Lab.
It's basically like MythBusters, not as scientific, but also
like MythBusters with less scientific, but specifically about the things that happen in video games. Can they actually be done?
Yeah.
And how, and like some like what's the history behind
they're
that?
All very
and stuff
entertaining.
like that.
So again, for $10 a
and
month,
there's things about like trans people and like documentary kind of things, and like any interest that you could possibly have.
There's
there
at least
is
something for it,
about
and that's worth $10.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I do dislike the argument for your money. Again, you can spend your money however you want, but there's no reason to bandwagon just because it's expensive. Because it's not expensive. It's very affordable and a great value. Yeah. Any other questions you have?
And it's only getting more and more valuable. And that's the main point that I wanted to make. If you haven't gotten it yet, now is a great time to get YouTube Red.
Yeah, because there's a huge amount of content, and they come out with new content all the time.
Yeah, and I completely get that argument right when it came out. Like, there's barely anything. You can't get it in most countries, which, sorry, if you're listening from anywhere that isn't
this is
supported,
completely irrelevant to you.
Then we're just slapping you in the face with this. But because if you're listening and you're mad about it, you probably would be one of the people paying for it, you know? Sorry.
Anyway, it's a good time to get into it.
Okay, my final question
sure.
is if you watch this show, if you listening have already watched this show and you didn't know Game Grumps, should you watch Game Grumps?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. If you have... Okay, so my main thing is if you enjoy Alex's character played by Danny at all, that's a pretty accurate to life retelling of who he is as a person. He's just a happy, nice, silly guy.
Yeah. Aaron is much more funny.
And not depressing.
And less depressing most of the time.
But only less. Yeah, I mean, it really depends if you enjoy the Let's Play format.
Yeah, that's true.
This is not like... Game Grumps is a Let's Play show. Obviously, it's one of the bigger ones. So if you're watching this, I'd be surprised if you don't know what it is. But if you don't, Game Grumps is Let's Play format. It's got 2 guys in there, Danny and Aaron.
2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place.
No, just 2 guys. No pizza place or girl.
Do you even get
I'm making a joke.
Do you even get it,
No, I don't understand the reference, but I am making a joke. I know that you're joking, too. Whatever. So, yeah, they play video games, and they're
Hashtag
total
only
goofballs.
90s kids, am I right?
Yeah, right?
Besides
Even though I'm a
you.
90s kid. So, yeah, they are very likable people. I wouldn't even say they're charismatic, but they're likable. They're they have good charisma together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
if you should probably just check out Game Grumps. There's very few people who I've shown it to who are like, oh, I have no interest in this.
I would start by going to like their I think they probably have most YouTubers that are big have a playlist for like popular videos.
Yeah.
Or like best of or
the amount
things
of
like
content
that.
they put up is pretty ridiculous. They have
no, but
videos
what 2 to 3. Now they're doing 2, but they used to do 3 videos a day.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, what I was saying is I would start with that because a lot of videos could be like hit or miss for you, and like they're like best of things or like they're really popular ones tell like interesting stories or like have their funnier moments, and that's a good like snapshot way to let you know if you would be into that.
Yeah, and also it's basically a whole community. There's a whole fandom devoted to them. I mean, there's so many inside jokes that they even have in themselves. They make references to old jokes that they've made years ago. It's been out for
5 years.
5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, Also, if you start from episode 1, there's going to be another guy in there. It's going to be very confusing. John.
Oh.
There was
I thought you meant episode 1 of the YouTube Red show. That would be really funny if they had gotten him for the first episode and then just replaced Alex with him, but like had him be the exact same guy, exact same character, like wear the same stuff.
Yeah. That would be super
that
good. Kind of like
really
they did that for a thing on that Hot One American Summer thing on Netflix. They had Bradley Cooper, and then they replaced it with the dude from what's his name? Adam Scott.
Yeah. From Parks and Rec.
Yeah, funny. Anyway, we're getting kind of rambly here, but that's okay. If you were to start with the first episode of Game Grumps, there's a different Game Grump there because originally it was Aaron Hansen and John Jafari.
I think that's his name. Yeah.
JonTron. He's another relatively famous YouTuber.
And
Ego Raptor. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know. They've all been in the YouTube internet community for a long time, and I don't know how many episodes they had, but they eventually stopped. They had some sort of falling out or something.
I think they did it for about a year at least.
Yeah.
Right?
So the thing is that this is a big point. Again, Game Grumps is so interesting because there's an entire community who's got conspiracy theories and things just breaking out people's lives. If that's something you're into, check it out, man.
I mean, it comes down to that they had differences, creative or otherwise, and John stepped out and Dan stepped in.
Yep. And I honestly think Dan and Aaron are funnier than John and Aaron.
I think they just have they've been doing it longer, and I just think that they have better like friend chemistry and stuff.
Friend is true.
Yeah, especially because I think they were like relatively like fresher friends, newer friends.
Yeah, you
when
honestly
it started
get to see their
and stuff
friendship
grow.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. So anyway, if you guys like Good Game, check out Game Grumps. If you guys like Game Grumps, check out Good Game. They're both pretty mutually exclusive there. Anything else you want to talk about?
Not really.
Yeah. Wait.
What?
On a scale, what would you give?
Like
we do this.
out of 10?
Sure. Or 5. Or 7.
I would say at least a 7.
I'd probably say 6. Good solid 6 for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's overly great, but I also think that it's good. Yeah, so like a 7 works for me, but I wouldn't say it's like exactly average either, which is like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, I'd say it's above average for me. It's 6.
Just barely though. Whereas for me,
barely,
it's above average. 6. It's good, but it's not great.
Sure, yeah. But again, maybe that's because they're new. I'd like to see what they do after this.
Yes.
Also, I think they're having a new show coming out eventually called Gameverse, and I don't know if that's going to be a YouTube Red show or not.
I think they're trying to get it in actual TV.
Actual TV?
Uh-huh.
Like syndicated TV?
Yes, syndicated.
What?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah.
No.
So they're working on like a few like pilot things. I think isn't it mostly Ross? Because I know Aaron does stuff with it. Aaron and Ross O'Donovan are trying to do this TV show,
Ross
animated
is part of the
TV
Game Grumps
show.
team.
I think it's mostly
He's
his
also
project, is it not?
I think it's something they're both doing pretty equally together. I think Ross posts about it a lot more. So
like I knew when they
Ross,
first came out saying like, "Hey, we're really excited, we're working on this." They were both very involved, but now I only ever hear Ross talk about it.
So yeah, Aaron and Ross were originally I mean, not that they're still these people, but Aaron was better known as Egoraptor, and Ross was better known as Rubber Ninja, and
they're both animators.
That was what they think. And I only knew Aaron before I ever started dating you and knew about Game Grumps because he was an animator, and he had some, in my opinion, very funny YouTube videos. If you guys are bored, check out Egoraptor on YouTube. There's some gems, let me tell you. And it's a good way to prep yourself for Aaron on Game Grumps, I think, because he's got some similar rage humor kind of mentality.
I think that they are going for a
syndicated run?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then I want to say that when I heard Ross say that he said, like, if they couldn't do that, then they would probably try and get it on YouTube Red. But I don't know if YouTube Red is a thing that you can just, like, approach them with an idea, or if they have to approach you and say, hey, do you want a show? Let's figure it out.
Well, I'm sure that they have some give and take for that.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, as it started out, it was more like,
YouTube
hey,
Red.
we're starting this. You want in?
Yeah, but I also think YouTube was like, hey, listen, they wouldn't want to give a channel like us an option for YouTube Red Show, obviously, because we don't have really any viewership. But, you know, I also think there's probably a lot of big YouTubers who didn't get approached. Like, Cody's Lab got approached. He's got millions and millions of subscribers because he does science videos.
Yeah.
But Vsauce did? You know, interesting. So I'd be interested to know about that process more. But yeah, so it's an animated show, supposed to be comedy.
About gaming.
Yeah, keep an eye out for it. Yeah, so I think that's all we got to say. Good game.
Check us out in our Let's Plays if you're into that. If you're into Game Grumps
esque
show. So Let's Plays. If you're into Let's Plays,
yeah,
then
so we do.
I don't want to compare our style of humor to Game Grumps. It's not fair.
For us, not for us.
No.
We're not sitting there saying like, "Oh, Game Grumps can't compete."
We're not being like hilarious comedians the entire time.
Oh, maybe we are. We don't really know at this point.
Or maybe we are, and you should come check us out.
Anyway, we also do lots of podcasts. At this point, we've probably got
one a week. Yeah. And we do 2 videos of Let's Plays each day.
We usually review a new show we've seen or a new movie we've seen. We also have a specific type of podcast called a fling, where one of us is familiar with the source material and one of us is not, and we talk about a different adaptation.
But it's harder to find like material for that and time difficult. To do that.
Well, because we also have to read
and
watch something.
And,
so anyway, we did Blade Runner recently, which isn't really a fling, but it's kind of a fling because it's got source material, but it's not an adaptation. It's a sequel. But we also
both watched it.
Yeah, it's not really a fling. Anyway,
Scott Pilgrim, other things. Check us out there. Yeah. If you want to watch anywhere else, we're on SoundCloud. We're working on getting on other places too. So
for these podcasts.
Yes.
We also stream sometimes.
Sometimes.
We're working on some technical stuff. But anyway, check it out. We might be streaming usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe us.
All
right, catch you guys later.
Bye.